I grew up in a Christian family, but at some point in time, I guess we were all going to church and we had to make a decisive decision on our faith. And so I accepted Christ when I graduated from high school. That is when I was invited into Bible studies and prayer meetings, and the whole idea of Christianity became clearer to me. Then fast forward, made it to college. You believe in one thing, you believe in the other. It's like up and down, but later on I came to realization that it means more than just calling yourself a Christian. So that is the point where I started doing my own investigation about what Christianity is all about. So after college, I did work for a couple of years. Then I moved to Denmark. But my search and my quest to grow my faith did not actually happen in Denmark. But when I moved to the state back in 2000, that is when the real search began. And the search began because there were a lot of books out there in the library that I could consult. And at one point in time, I told God that if you help me to buy a car, every day, I would listen to an audio whilst I was driving to work. And lo and behold, in a week, I was just going on and on, listening to books about Christianity, about my faith. And these are theological books, things that I should have gone to theology school to have learned. I was able to learn it through audio. And so the quest for my faith, my knowledge, my understanding of the Bible grew and grew and grew. And all of these were meant to build up my faith, solidify my faith. And back in the state, one of the things that I invested my time and effort and energy in was campus outreach. So in UNC, I live close to Chapel Hill. So going to UNC campus was just a driving distance, just about 10 minutes and you're there, and we engage students on UNC campus. A lot of instances, we also went to Blue Devils, which is Duke University, and engage students in biblical conversation. And I'll tell you what, in the South, reaching out to people was much more easier than doing it in the North. Baltimore was great. We did a lot of outreach on the street of Baltimore. There were instances where you come in contact with people and they tell you that, hey, don't come to this alley anymore. Over here, I serve the devil. And there was one instance we were doing outreach on a block. I gave a tract to one guy. He took it. And on my way back, I met him with another guy. And the guy warned me that this is their territory. And I said, how so? He said, this is my territory. If you care to know, show it to him. And the guy pulled his pants and he had the tattoo of the devil right on his leg. And he said, this is my territory. So you better back off. I said, yes, sir. So we pulled out, but we never backed off. Doing outreach in Maryland, especially in Baltimore, was fun, interesting, because Maryland is a mixture of faith and a little bit of agnosticism and atheism, but it's also engaging. It helps you to understand what the other side thinks of Christianity and of their faith, and it helps you and encourage you to learn and to know more about how to engage these fellows. We did a lot of outreach also in New York City, and one of the funny things about going to New York City, especially the Chinatown area, where one time we went to a shop and I was trying to engage the shopkeeper about Jesus, and he said, where are you from? I said, I'm from Ghana. I said, where is it? He said, it's in Africa. Oh, do you have the God you're talking about? I said, no, I'm talking about Jesus. But he said, show me. Show me. I said, no, it's not an idol to be shown. He's the creator of this universe. I can carry the creator of this universe in my hand. He said, well, if you can show me that, we can sell. I said, no, I don't want you to sell. I'm selling him to you. And so this kind of conversation went on and on. At the end of the day, I came to the realization that the Asian community in New York is secluded and there is no penetration so far as the gospel is concerned. I learned me a great deal about the fact that US is a Christian state does not mean that everybody there has even heard about the gospel. It taught me a real good lesson. Now fast forward, coming back home, last year, I heard God telling me, you need to go back. I said, to where? And he said, you need to go back to the things you love to do. And I realized that, okay, it's campus ministry. So I drove down here and told Isaac, can I get me some tracts? He said, yeah. we have trucks up there. So we went ahead, we loaded, started distributing. I think the first day we went, we started with about 200 trucks, and now we are doing about 7,000 trucks every weekend. So we have about 8 people, and it doesn't end there. We have people whom we met on campus from other regions of the country, and they express interest in doing the same. Now, the bottom line is, what exactly are we trying to achieve with this campus ministry? We are trying to get the college students who are going to be the future leaders of this country to understand their faith, to hold fast in their faith, and be able to propagate their faith. Why is it important even when they are Christians? What I have seen in the 20 years of my life is that most of my friends that traveled outside of the shores of this country and studied in the US, in Europe, when they come back, they don't believe in the same thing. The question is, what has gotten into your mind? I believe that nothing important has gotten into their mind. The only thing I know is that their faith was not strong. Their faith was transactional. It was based on what they could get by following Christ. And when they realized that the things they followed Christ for in Ghana could be achieved in the United States, Canada, or Europe, Christ, set aside. Because they had the God of the commune, the God of the county, the God of the government providing their health and material needs. So Christ was no longer important. That's number one. Number two is that they had a lot of existential questions that were not answered, and they are still pushed under the rug. When they ask questions about Jesus, when they ask questions about their faith, when they ask questions about Christianity in general, they are not getting the right answers. They are just being told to believe. So Christianity has more or less become a religion of believers, not a religion of knowing and understanding. And so we are being told just to believe. And that is why more or less a lot of people are walking back in their faith. And I've been on campuses where I engage students, and one of the questions that they ask is more like, if God exists, why are there so much suffering in this country? Then I got to take my time to decode it and explain to them the essence of suffering, the essence of pain. The presence of pain and the presence of suffering does not invalidate the existence of God. As a matter of fact, you and I go through pain in order to achieve the desired objective for which we want. And I give examples like, if a mother wants a child, you have to go through pain of birth, which is painful. And we go to dentist in order to have a tooth decay removed in order to get our health back. So we go through pain just like God allowed Christ to go through the pain of the cross in order to bring redemption to the humanity. So the presence of pain, as a matter of fact, does not invalidate that. I got to take my time to explain all of this. Then the issue of, are we serving the same God? Why is the Muslim God different from the Christian God? That also requires a lot of patience and a lot of insight in order to bring them to the point of understanding the differences for which we believe and trying to decode that religion is different from Christianity. They ask these questions. I have to take my time to explain. And these are individuals that are on the borderline of their faith, whether to continue to believe that which they have been asked to believe or just walk away because their questions are not being answered. So there is a real need, when you think about it, beyond the surface of I'm a Christian. And in Ghana, when you probe beyond the surface that I'm Christian, then you realize that you are not talking to Christians. You are talking to people who were born into the faith and have been asked to believe in Christ. But in truth, they are not Christians and they don't have any reason why they are Christians. And I ask basic questions. Why do you believe in what you believe in? I believe in because I was born into it. I believe in because it worked for me. I believe in the Bible because that is the word of God. And I put them back. Islam can say that, Judaism can say that, any other religion can say that because it worked for people. But that is not the reason why we believe in what we believe. There is something deeper. Then the question is, tell me more about it. And that brings to the fact that the hunger to know more, the hunger to understand, and the hunger to walk in the Christian faith is there, but the provision is not being made available. And so how do we feed into this hunger? And that is where we come in. And that is the passion. That is the driving force behind what we do and how we do what we do in Campus Reach. I think the most interesting part is that maybe age gives me an advantage, and Ghanaians are for the most part respectful. So when I engage a child my son's age, they are always willing to stop and listen. The other advantage that I perhaps have is that I engage them in their school work first. And for the most part, I tell you what, I spend time counseling students on their academic work before I chip in the gospel. And they almost always come back for more. And I do share my phone number with a lot of these students. They come back and they ask questions. I think about a week ago, I got a text message in the middle of the night. That shocked me a lot. A student sent me a text message. I think he put his question this way: what is death? And is death profitable? And then in the middle of the night, he started asking questions that I felt, okay, where are we going now? And I said, can I call you now? He said, yes, you can. So I got up in the middle of the night, right about 11 p.m. And I said, are you all right? He said, I'm all right, but a lot of things that are going through my head. And I answered all his questions with respect to death, because my biggest fear was that this guy might be suicidal at this point. And he trusts me enough to have called me at this night hour to ask questions about death. And so I took my time to explain all the questions that he had concerning death. And one of the things that was pivotal to me was the fact that death is not the end, but we don't take it. It's when God calls us when we leave this earth. And when we leave this earth, we are leaving our friends, our family, and loved ones behind, but we are going to be reunited with Christ. And so far as I'm concerned, when the time comes for me to go, I will be happy because I'm going to meet Christ himself. And we're going to chat and have a high five and talk about a whole lot of things that I desire to ask. But I am here right now, so I have to do the work of the one who has called me here and to do it right. So when I turn my eyes back, I'm going back home with joy and with laughter and with smile, because I am going to meet Christ himself. So we got a lot of work to do, and we got to do it until our bones are rotten. And then after that, I asked him, so are you all right now? He said, yeah, I'm all right. And so the question of approaching people or students, is it difficult? Is it challenging? No, it's not. Most of the students are polite. They are willing to listen to whatever you have to say, and they even come back for more. And most of the people that are helping us in spreading the tract and the gospel on campus are all students. They come back and say, can I help with this? Yes, you can. Can I do more? Yes, you can.